Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our bottom left-hand side, HeyAlex, our red Terran, and in the bottom right we have oRangeSOda. oRangeSOda? Yeah, oRangeSOda, our blue Zerg. Both players are in diamonds. This is on Heart of the Swarm, and we are on Newkirk City. It's been around in the pool for forever, but we really don't see a lot of good maps played out on this one, just because it's super close by air. The harassment potential for the force is absolutely immense, and it's really difficult to secure the ones way north for the expands there, just because whoever has map control has no problem at all defending his. But then if you ever try to get a third base, the third that's the natural third is super exposed, so it's really hard to turtle. It's really hard to play your macro on this map. I like it a lot, just because it's super close by air. It's very simple. The rush distance is long, and you have to go right by the first Xel'Naga watchtower, and if you secure both Xel'Naga watchtowers, there's really no way at all to sneak in to either base. So it definitely favors macro in that sense, but it's really heavily favoring the two-base play, and because of that, sometimes you don't have a lot of games that get up and go the distance, that have a really wild matchup. I have seen some wicked Protoss air versus Terran air, but anytime you throw the Zerg into the mix, either player has a very hard time securing a lot of expos and pushing it into that late game, that mid to late game. First Overlord's moving off from oRangeSOda just to see what sort of shenanigans Alex is getting up to, but he's really not. No early gas, no early command center. He's throwing down that first barracks, no problem at all. In fact, nothing by way of ground scouting from either player. No drone or SCV has left the base except for this one, but I think that guy's destined for a hatchery. There goes the 300 minerals throwing down for that first hatchery. oRangeSOda going for a 15 hatch, probably going to be following up with a pool, given that he has 200 minerals saved up already. There it goes. oRangeSOda showing us how it's done. That's a very nice timing there for both of those. Maybe a little bit earlier on the hatchery next time, and that delays the spawning pool by just a couple more seconds, making it so that the queens can be started immediately as soon as that hatchery finishes. It's a really specific timing though, and I definitely don't fault him for missing it, because I miss it all the time. Command center being built up on the high ground from HeyAlex. Great play here. I mean, like I said, this map is absolutely enormous. And because the 15 hatch, 15 pool's already gone down, Alex has plenty of breathing room. He doesn't know it because he hasn't scouted at all, but we know it, and we know that because of the size of the map, even if he was going to be dealing with some sort of earlier pool, maybe just a pool first build, it's not the end of the world, especially with the wall-off being completed, the first couple of Marines already being constructed. Actually, the barracks is sitting completely empty right now, and why exactly is that? You really want to get more of those Marines out, especially whenever you have the money. You want to be able to, once you have that command center done, reposition it on the low ground, start that bunker, and really just aggressively defend that natural. The Overlord is going to go down, and that's probably what HeyAlex is waiting for. He wants that Overlord crushed before he does whatever he's going to do. He's going to be grabbing gas. He's going to be throwing down a couple more barracks. There they go. 2 more barracks, and you know what? That timing is actually very typical whenever... that's what I was looking for, is the gas. HeyAlex is throwing down 2 gas. Barracks, don't worry about it. That's more for defense than anything else. He wants to blow a bunch of minerals on a bunch of Marines. I don't think he's going to be spending this gas on tech for his Marines. If he was, he would have gotten a refinery a lot earlier, and he would have gotten a tech lab a lot earlier and started on that stem, because it's so long and so very difficult to get over time. If you're going to wait and waste a lot of time waiting for that gas to accumulate and then finish up your 2 barracks and then start all the techs at the same time, your time is going to be terrible. It's going to be totally off. This, though, allows him to get out a bunch of Marines without blowing a lot of gas, and I expect him to accumulate a lot of gas over time and then throw down probably a factory, maybe a starport, move on into a bit more of a traditional and delayed push. Could still be bio, definitely could still be bio, but what I'm saying is it's not going to be one of those typical +1 timing with combat shield and stem. I think this is more for a mid game composition for HeyAlex. It's not going to be a timing that we're going to see push in the next 4 minutes or so. oRangeSOda, though, has already gotten his natural completely saturated, is working on round 2 for his queens, bringing the total to 3. Hasn't started on that speed just yet, even though he's got plenty of gas right now, which is interesting. What is he going to spend that gas on? Oh, it's going to be metabolic boost. Excellent. So that Zergling speed has started up. He's going to continue on accumulating all that energy, probably going to be working on lair tech, eventually going to be grabbing a third, just progressing down the typical pathway. There goes the factory for HeyAlex, so that's what he's going to be spending that gas for. Look to see if there's going to be an add-on added to that factory, and that could signify maybe it's going to be a starport play, maybe it's going to be a mech play. Given that there's 2 more gases being grabbed, I really heavily lean towards a mech play, just because we have that traditional 3 barracks, that added support of those siege tank line. Whenever it gets out, he's going to have plenty of Marines to defend that siege tank line. And on the other side, I think Hellbats are incredibly powerful right now. They're so very good. A tech lab being added onto the factory with a starport right on top of it. Wow. So it could be all sorts of things. And then 2 more, a reactor as well as a tech lab. This is definitely unique, to say the least. I could see maybe a factory being added onto a reactor being added to the factory so that the starport could use the reactor, get out a bunch of medevacs to support the Marines. Tech lab being onto the factory means the tech lab's going to be added onto the starport. We could see all sorts of stuff coming out of that. Could be Banshee. Probably not Ravens, because Ravens are definitely not very cost effective, especially with the Mutalisks being so very quick and popular right now for the Zerg. It's very difficult to get up the number of Ravens that you used to be able to get up, especially with 3 gases being tapped right now. oRangeSOda getting up his 3rd base. Nice defense back at home. Plenty of Marines, Zerglings that are capable of dealing with the Marines that HeyAlex has out on the field right now. Stim has been started, and Hellions are being produced from the factory. I really don't understand why the factory has a tech lab if it's producing Hellions. I think that might have been a misclick. I think he might have meant to get a reactor so that he could produce 2 at a time Hellions. And it must have been a misclick, because he is switching the barracks with the factory. Factory is going to be taking advantage of the reactor. Is going to be producing Hellions 2 at a time, and I guess the barracks is going to be positioning to take care of that tech lab. Probably going to be starting on combat shields immediately, and that must have been a misclick, because I really don't see a reason why you would want the tech lab to be built on the factory just to switch them later on. Armory has been constructed for HeyAlex, so those Hellbats are going to be able to morph into Hellbat mode, and there goes the 2-on-2 production of the Hellions. This is going to be a Hellion drop. Plenty of Zerglings are out on the field right now. Plenty of anti-air in the form of those Queens. Lair tech on the way, and +1/+1 probably going to be started with the Evo chambers being defensively positioned like that. Really nice creep spread coming out of oRangeSOda, especially for a diamond player. I don't know if I mentioned that, but these guys are diamond. So yeah, I like this play out of oRangeSOda. He's progressing down that very typical Zerg macro fest. Nothing exciting yet. Probably going to see a Spire coming out of him with... Nice. There goes the Spire. And, that Spire's the timing couldn't be better, because eventually he's going to be dealing with these drops. He's probably going to have to fend for himself on that first drop, because this medevac's going to get in there. It's going to do quite a lot of damage. It's going to scout that Spire. But after that, he's going to have some Mutalisks up. He's going to start accumulating all that excess gas. He's got 11 drones on the way, as well as +1/+1 started. Both players are actually banking quite a lot of money, but remember, it's diamond. You expect there to be some macro mechanics that haven't been ironed out yet. Totally acceptable, and by no means is it, a significant problem at all. The 2 tech labs going to town on their upgrades. Got some Marauders on the way. The medevac count has started to climb, and that first medevac has moved out with the Hellbats already in Hellbat mode. They're not going to have an issue at all with dealing with all of these Zerglings, but remember that medevac has been scouted at least 3 times by all sorts of different overlords, and those overlords have been calling back at home, hey man, you got a party coming in. And wow, these Marines have been scouted too by that Zergling, very aggressively positioned by the Xel'Naga Watchtower. So this joint attack is going to have to deal with both Banelings and Zerglings. Excellent creep spread. I really got to keep an eye on these Hellbats, though, because they can absolutely melt away the enemy, and especially whenever they're only dealing with Zerglings. Here comes the push. The Hellbats dropping down, taking some significant damage, and there goes the boost from the Queen, just getting away from the Queen. It looks like these Marines had a bad day with all of those Banelings, but a Spore Crawler takes down the medevac, only succeeding in unloading 2 of those Hellbats, but they're excellently positioned. Really nice damage, but I think they only succeeded in taking down a handful of workers. 5 workers killed. Check out the units lost tab. 15/18. Overall a wash for HeyAlex, but he did do a little bit of economic damage. 54/54, even though he's just now securing that 3rd base. And I think that's all that was designed to do. And remember, he got some scouting. He he got some excellent scouting. He saw the spire. He's going to know that he's going to be dealing with Mutalisks more than anything else. 6 Mutalisks on the way. Plenty of Marines to deal with that, or at least there were plenty of Marines. Now he only has 11 of them. I guess they all died to those Banelings, +1 air on the way for Orange, and as well as, wow, centrifugal hooks. He's really going to be betting heavily on all those Zerglings, even a queen mixed in with all those Zerglings. Hasn't quite gotten to that 4th yet, but remember his 3rd has been completely saturated, even though he took it in the top right-hand side. A little bit more of a passive positioning there. The 3rd is so super exposed whenever you take this expansion, and even this one is a little bit better protected, even though it's super close by air. Anti-air is what is missing from HeyAlex's current composition. He has only got a handful of Marines, quite a lot of siege tanks, quite a lot of ground support in the form of those Hellbats, but really is going to be lacking on that anti-air. And once these Mutalisks hit the field, we have 10 right now swooping down to the bottom left. These Mutalisks are going to be incredibly cost-effective. Static air defenses have been deployed, but only a single missile turret is defending the main, which I gotta feel is a mistake. I mean, you definitely need one over on the left side as well, and with the add-ons really aren't supporting the Marine production. In fact, all of the barracks are currently lying silent, even though he knows this attack is coming. He scouted that spire. He knows these Mutalisks are coming. The Mutalisks targeting down the missile turret and now having a complete free ride into this main. You just check out that harvester count, which was neck and neck moments ago, even though, of course, Zerg had just exploded in harvester count. They were both at about 54 a couple seconds ago, and now the entire SCV line has been just devastated. 10 workers killed already, and oh no, there's no missile turrets in the natural at all. Oh, those Mutalisks having a field day with all of them, taking out every single one of the SCVs that were working on the missile turrets, save one. Looks like this guy's going to finish on the right side, but at what cost? 31 workers killed. Oh my goodness, 32 harvesters to 72. Triple, it's like thousands and thousands of minerals difference in mining time. Fortunately for HeyAlex, he retain all of his orbitals. Not a lot of infrastructure damage was done, and I think HeyAlex knows that he needs to get out the anti-air, and here comes the Thors. Fantastic decision. Thors, with their splash damage, do so much damage to Mutalisks as long as the engagement is done correctly. HeyAlex doing kind of another wash of a drop, and he's even going to lose the medevac as those Mutalisks, just showing you, hey man, we rule this. We've got this. We've got the sky under control because they're so very, very fast. oRangeSOda, though, has a huge swell of Zerglings that are going to be able to come in and do quite a lot of damage, even because those Thors are being produced. It comes at a cost of one form or another of a factory producing units. Is he going to have to cut back on his siege tank production or his Hellion production? And those Hellions really afforded him a lot of protection from those that Zergling ball, and Thors are pretty very delicate to a lot of Zerglings, and the number of Zerglings that we have out right now, 70 Zerglings, really just going to crush the Thors if they get caught with their pants down. 10 Hellions out on the field right now, and 15 Mutalisks are going to be swooping into the 3rd, which is pretty much the only place that didn't get crushed last time. HeyAlex's entire army is just kind of hanging out while the probes are getting raped. 43 workers killed now. Finally, the Vikings coming in, but with only 2 Vikings chasing after all those Mutalisks. Wow, that Mutalisk ball taking a massive hit from the Thors, shoving up a couple of those Javelin missiles, I think is what they're called, doing quite a lot of splash damage to that Mutalisk ball. Remember that the oh, okay, so he's dealing with a lot of lag. That's understandable. The Thors can actually morph over to their high impact load. They're basically does a lot of damage to a single unit. Not the best choice against Mutalisks, but if he decides to get a greater spire with a second spire on the way, he didn't lose the first one, did he? No, he did not. But he has been dealing with, I guess, continued drop pressure, so he's getting a couple spines, a couple more spores back at home just to defend. He's got that infestor pit up, but hasn't really decided to use one of the 2 units that can be coming out of that. It could be swarm hosts, it could be infestors. I think infestors are probably your best bet, just because swarm hosts in this type of composition, they really don't do well against siege tanks whenever the siege tanks have reached this massive level. HeyAlex definitely has a stranglehold on the ground, no problem there, but with those Mutalisks and their harassment potential, with the amount of workers that have been killed, how far behind he is in the economy, he's got to make something happen. He's almost worked his way up to max supply count. He's only got the +1 though, and he's going to be dealing with some very upgraded units. The +1 air has already been finished, and remember 1-1 was finished a short time ago. He already started on the already done with the 2-2, and he's moving over to the +1 range. So HeyAlex is going to be having to deal with a very aggressive and intimidating army coming out of Zerg, even though Zerg's supply count is not near his. Look at all that money that's saved up right now, and oRangeSOda just needs an excuse to spend it. 68 Zerglings on the production tab right now. The Mutalisks are harassing the third, crushing a couple of those Hellions, seeing that the army is gone, and now that they've walked onto the creep, I think oRangeSOda knows exactly what he needs to do. This number of Zerglings, this number of Banelings, definitely not enough to crush this entire army, but it could be enough to force his retreat, especially with the third taking so much damage back at home from those Mutalisks. Got to be careful, though. I mean, one misstep, and if that siege tank line gets fully deployed, they can crush all those Zerglings. Here comes the push. The Zerglings swinging around, crushing one of the Thors. No, just sweeping by the Thors in favor of the siege tank line. The siege tank line takes a massive hit, but the rest of the force is pretty much untouched. 35 Mutalisks on the production tab right now, and oh, that's an excellent decision because there's only a handful of Thors left and a handful of Marines, and those Marines really haven't been upgraded. 0 for 0. And yeah, the Hellbats provide quite a lot of damage protection from those Marines, but only when you're talking about Zerglings. Once these Mutalisks hit the field, they're going to be doing quite a lot of damage. And remember, those Mutalisks that Orange had in the field has been doing quite a lot of damage. Those 35 Mutalisks have now spawned and are crushing the anti-air. A handful of Vikings are not going to be enough to stop this huge swell of Mutalisks just crushing all the siege tanks. Every Thor has gone down. Every Marine has gone down. The Vikings are going to fall, and with that, there goes the siege tanks. This force has been crushed, but at what cost? oRangeSOda lost an entire expansion. His natural has gone completely down. The Hellions getting some nice scouting, actually scouting the Greater Spire, starting to be morphed in, but oRangeSOda now has a fantastic lead in units. 30 Mutalisks on the field right now, and HeyAlex has, what, 1 Thor? Just a single Thor out on the field. That's not a lot of anti-air. And so if oRangeSOda wants to be a bully, and he definitely wants to be a bully, he can be. And there's really not a lot that HeyAlex can do to stop him. He's going to be trying to take that third, but I have a feeling that that third is going to have a very bad day in a very short period of time with just a single Thor out on the field right now. Plenty of static defenses have been constructed now to defend the natural, but the main is almost completely mined out, so that third is very precarious right now. And man, oRangeSOda is just sitting there. He needs to push out with these Mutalisks. He needs to start doing a lot of damage. He's just wasting time waiting for that Corruptor, and I guess waiting for that gas. He has succeeded in taking his 5th. He's mining from pretty much every geyser he can possibly take in, but man, oh, he's not. He's taking extractors. He's just not mining from that one. He's mining from this. I guess the natural has gone down completely, so there's that one, and he's mining off of this one. But I guess he just doesn't have the gas income that you would expect from the amount of bases he's been on, and so he's just kind of wasting time, wasting with these Mutalisks. And Mutalisks definitely stop being productive as time goes on. Once the Thor count begins to rise, Mutalisks are really not the most cost-effective unit once you get to the late game. You want to transition out, you want to get those Corruptors, you want to get those Broodlords out, and oRangeSOda is just sitting on a game-winning composition. If he had pushed out and crushed that third, HeyAlex would have no hope of re-macroing. He's got a nice bank of minerals, but not a lot of gas, and on two bases, you really can't afford to produce the amount of Thors necessary to deal with 30 Mutalisks. And he still doesn't have a huge number of Thors right now to deal with those Mutalisks. Only a single Thor in that composition, 2 or 3 back at home, a couple of Vikings, just not a lot of anti-air at all. I think what oRangeSOda wants to do is waste time, get up that money composition, push in with Broodlord and Corruptor, but the Broodlord Corruptor is going to be supported by Mutalisks, and those Mutalisks really don't play well with such a slow-moving composition. That's really just going to nail those Mutalisks down, make it so that they have to do direct engagements, and that's not what Mutalisks were designed to do at all. HeyAlex has bought plenty of time for himself. He's adding on infrastructure, working on that +2, +3 weapons, +3 weapons, +2 vehicle plating. And so his mech army is going to be incredibly intimidating in a very short period of time, but he still doesn't quite have that anti-air necessary, and with the Broodlords now being done, oRangeSOda has finally decided to be aggressive. I really feel like he let a golden opportunity slip away, and we're going to have to pay attention to see exactly how much, if any, damage he can do with this stunted attack. He is going to be pushing in at the third. Excellent decision there. Not a lot of static defenses, and definitely one of the only areas that HeyAlex is mining. But HeyAlex has got 3 more Thors on the way and has almost worked his way up to max. The Broodlords are going to be... This is a nice decision here to do that with the destructible debris, make it so that nothing can get underfoot. And that would be a significant boon to him if he was going to be dealing with a lot of Marines. But no, he's dealing with a lot of Thors. And it looks like those Thors have switched over to the explosive payload. Going to be doing... the high impact rounds. Going to be doing quite a lot of damage to single units. It's going to be targeting down those Broodlords. Really not doing an impressive amount of damage, but it's because they're shooting at so many different things, doing damage to the Mutalisks rather than to the Broodlords themselves. How many Thors are we talking about? 5 Thors out on the field, a couple of Vikings, one of them shelling on the left side. It looks like the 6 or some Broodlords that oRangeSOda was using for the aggression there is going to be pushed back, but man, I really feel like if he just magic boxed those Thors, he could have won. I guess with 3 more Thors being added into the mix, it's a little bit late for that. oRangeSOda is going to have to limp back home, rethink his plan, maybe add in a couple more Corruptors at the cost of a couple of his Mutalisks. Keep those Mutalisks here. Make it so that HeyAlex can't move out. Really, his slow-moving force is very vulnerable to the fact that those Mutalisks can harass. And because of that, I think oRangeSOda still has an advantage. He just needs to use his advantage. These swarm hosts are going to need a lot of support in order to be effective at all, because they're not very effective against siege tanks and are only effective at making it so that a force can't move out. 5 more swarm hosts on the way. I think oRangeSOda right now is really frustrated due to the fact that he had a lot of Broodlords out and he really couldn't do a lot of damage. These swarm hosts are going to be cut off. This is going to be a massive loss for him. Check out that resources. And no, the Mutalisks are pushing forward, but the support from so many of these Thors. Oh my goodness, look at that splash damage. Holy crap. This is a massive loss for oRangeSOda. Just a huge wash, really, just in general. There goes the other scan, just slowly focusing down every single one of those swarm hosts, and they're very, very expensive units. We have 8 Corruptors now in the production tab, but it's definitely too late. And look, just waddling in those swarm hosts. My goodness. oRangeSOda is definitely just putting himself farther and farther behind this game, but his macro is so many different bases. He's got so much economy. He's even got a lair here. Why not? Why not? He's on Hive Tech. He's got that Greater Spire out. He's definitely ahead as far as macro is concerned, but he's just not doing anything with his money. He's not spending it on the units that he should be spending it on, and he's definitely not using those units in the way that they're designed. I feel like he could have won this game several times over now, but HeyAlex is just proven to be the cockroach that you cannot kill, and it's proven that he's just so much more cost effective. You really don't need a strong economy if you're making every one of your minerals count for 2 of your enemies, and you know that's definitely something to be said. Quite a lot of Thors, quite a lot of siege tanks, not a lot that oRangeSOda can do to stop it now. He's back with Zerglings. He's buying time for those Broodlords, but if those Broodlords expose themselves, there's quite a lot of Vikings out on the field right now. Those Vikings are going to be able to shell down the Broodlords. Even though the Broodlords outnumber them by quite a bit, those Thors can actually support the Vikings, especially if they're being so aggressive right now. Getting a couple of pot shots on those Broodlords, focusing them down. oRangeSOda is going to have to retreat back home, and I guess every single one of these top right bases are going to go down. My goodness. Poor oRangeSOda. Man, all those Broodlords are going to go down because there's nothing left to defend them. If he had even a quarter of the Mutalisks that he had, he could have dealt with these Vikings no problem at all. But right now, HeyAlex has got to be so incredibly frustrated because he had this game so many different times, and HeyAlex is he's just so durable. That's all it is. Plenty more Corruptors have been out now, pushing back those Vikings back to the Thors. Those Thors shelling down the Corruptors, and the Broodlords doing plenty of damage from behind them. But eventually these Corruptors are going to get focused down, and the SCVs repairing the Thors will prove way too much for those Broodlords. The Zerglings pushing in, getting a nice surround on those Thors, but I think this is the last push that we're going to see out of oRangeSOda. Siege tanks from the back just melting away all of those. Really no anti-air left to speak of. I think oRangeSOda has 6... Well, no. There, he's quit. Nice. I think oRangeSOda actually held this off. He did enough damage. He's got plenty of money. He's got 3 Corruptors on the way. Those Corruptors were going to deal with those Vikings. He's still 2 or 3 bases up over HeyAlex. I think this was just a pure frustration quit from oRangeSOda because he was doing so well. He did so much damage with those Mutalisks, and then he just threw them away because he didn't want to keep harassing with them. I think it was more fatigue than anything else. You get to that in-game composition and you're used to having one big ball of units that you can just throw at an enemy, and whenever you have those Mutalisks, you can't do that. They're not effective at all in a big fight like that. You want to make it so those Mutalisks are off in the wing. You get a big fight with your big army, and those Mutalisks swoop in, steal some damage at the natural, deal some damage at the third, distract your enemy. That's when they're useful. And they were not useful against all those Thors. I mean, you just saw how ridiculously sick that splash damage is. That's awesome. Hey, Alex, unit composition, a little bit weak on the anti-air. Not a lot you can do about that because you're going to be relying on Thors. Maybe work on getting those Thor and siege tank numbers a little bit more staggered. You produced too many siege tanks at the start and not enough Thors to support them, and because of that, you had to deal with that. In bygone days in Wings of Liberty, that was fine because Mutalisks sucked, and you really couldn't do much with them. Now those Mutalisks are so very cost effective, you're going to be having to deal with that a lot more, especially on the ladder. And so maybe getting out a couple more Thors a little bit earlier could prove to be a boon to you. Well, that's it for me, guys. It was actually a really good game, and I'm surprised that I'm disheartened that oRangeSOda tapped out because I feel like this game had a couple more minutes in it. But regardless, I will see you guys in the next video. I am Big and Scary. Bye.